But this time we ran a qualifier, an 8-person qualifier, and Jumy came out on top of that qualifier. So he can show the world what he can do against the greatest Starcraft 2 player of all time. May the bonk be with you and the better bonk win. GG, good luck. I believe Jumy is all about bonking these days. I don't know if he plays a lot of mega bonk or not, but he is bonking his way through the ladder, and he likes to let everyone know about it.
Let's get it on.
Round 1, fight!
The last time we had Jumy on the Friday evening in a match where really no one thought he could ever win, he did win. That was not against Serral, that was against Lambo. It was a long time ago, but that was definitely Jumy's finest moment on the Friday evening. That was a legendary performance coming out of him. Jumy's career has had ups and downs. He has a struggle with motivation sometimes, but lately he really seems to be enjoying StarCraft. And in particular, this matchup feels really confident, feels really good about everything. Let's see what we got. Our German Protoss, Jumy, the winner of the qualifier that we ran last Tuesday. Jumy earned his spot here. He's gonna kick the night off with Nexus first. Look at that. In the bottom left side, tomorrow at 3 PM, he can show GG Machine how it's done, as he will be playing Beyond in the quarterfinals of the Leo League Cup this afternoon. Serral already played against Zaun, got a 2-1 victory with a 34-minute game 3. And he got a pretty convincing win, I would say, over Cure in the end, the way that he pretty much always gets a convincing win over Cure. It is the Finnish phenom, the GOAT, BASILISK Serral. There is indeed that meme with the bunk. But right now, I feel like we are in the era of Mega Bunk. Maybe the era of Mega Bunk has already passed away. But Mega Bunk was all that people were talking about a little while ago. And Jumy even has like bonk in one of his Battle.net tags. I don't know what the meme is, but he's loving it. Jumy is a sweet guy. And if he's happy talking about bonking, let him bonk. Nexus first, no scout by the way. Talking about making a statement. Jumy shows us that he's entering this best of 5 with no fear and also willing to take some risks. Nexus first, no scout. It is obviously highly unlikely that Serral would 12 pull Jumy in game 1 of a best of 5. Serral just doesn't really do a lot of 12 pulling in general in this matchup. Still, I'd be a little scared to do this on the big stage, knowing that people are watching. Jumy apparently not afraid. Next time, Holy Squid, there is a qualifier to determine who's going to play against Serral. I think next time Serral plays in the BBB, obviously we'll just invite someone, but maybe after handpicking a player the following time, so not next, but 2 editions from now, which would be 6 editions overall, or 4. We'll invite you in the qualifier and you can try, but you're gonna have to earn it, just like Jumy earned it. Nexus first, a double gate, Stalker Adapt, Twilight Council Robo. Definitely quite the opening coming out of Jumy. I think if Jumy wins a map here, he's already going to do a lot better than what people expected of him. I think Jumy is aiming for more than just a map. I'm sure that he knows winning the best of 5 is going to be very hard, but I think he's probably aiming for at least 2. Why not? He's here. He loves the matchup. All he has done lately in PvZ is win, win, win no matter what. 42 games and 41 victories for Jumy against Zerg. But obviously those Zergs were not Serral. And that is often what makes things a lot harder. In case you guys missed Serral vs Zaun earlier today, if you don't mind a spoiler, I'm going to talk about it. If you do, you can mute me. But in that second game, Zaun went for a 2-base all-in. 2-base Blink Stalker all-in. It is something that has gotten a bit popular again lately. Obviously, Trigger did it against Rogue, Trigger did it against Reynor, Creator did it against Reynor. There are some different variations and versions of it. Some have a forge and some don't have a forge. Zaun went without the forge. Jumy is not doing any of that. Jumy is going for a very quick Dark Shrine. Right now, guys, Serral has a single Spore Crawler. Lair is halfway done. Single Spore. This could get a little bit scary. Now, Jumy, his units are a little bit exposed. That's not what you want to see here if you are Jumy or if you're rooting for Jumy. First adept gets surrounded, gets picked off. The other two have to shade back, and that means that Serral is going to get an easy cancel on the third. And now these DTs really need to cook. Will Serral move the spore immediately? Yes. Serral is going to move it over here. Now, Overseer is morphing. Jumy can potentially go for the spore. Jumy is going to go for the spore. Jumy wants the spore. Jumy wants the spore. Jumy gets the spore at the cost of 1 DT. But there is an Overseer morphing, guys, and that Overseer is done. You cannot lose the War Prism. You really cannot lose the War Prism. Jumy, you want to choose? You want to save your DTs or save the Prism? Jumy in the end tries to do too many things, and it's a disaster. Getting the spore was big, but then we got a tiny bit greedy. Losing all 4 DTs and losing the War Prism is deadly. We have a second Prism. And the second Prism also has 4 DTs. We have now casually made 8 DTs and 2 War Prisms in a 6-minute game. Serral was really quick with bringing that spore over, and obviously snap morph the Overseer. There is an Overseer in the main. Roaches are a tiny bit out of position. Jumy is thinking about going for some drones, thinking about going for the lair. In the end, he's just gonna have to pick up and leave. And because one of the adepts was exposed, we were not able to save the third. We couldn't put all 3 adepts in this little notch between the mineral patch and the Vespian geyser. And now we're just hard stuck on 2 bases. And if we're hard stuck on 2 bases against Serral, we are in a lot of trouble. Not a whole lot that we can look forward to here. Not sure what the Archon Harass is going to try to accomplish, but it is safe to say that it cannot really get a whole lot. Serral sitting pretty uncomfortably on soon 4 hatches. DT's getting a cancel on the 4th would actually be kind of big. The problem is that Jumy still doesn't have a 3rd Nexus, and Jumy is not going to get it. He is going to try to save it. There's going to be a lot of damage coming out of the roaches. We did save the Archon. Did a decent amount of damage to the hatchery, but we can't kill it. Obviously a disastrous start, losing that Prism and losing the 4 DTs. We do still have a pretty serious army marching out, but Serral's army supply is 90. 10 of that is Queens, but it's gonna be very difficult. There are some Ravages in the mix as well, I assume. Yep, 4 Ravages in total on the side of the Great Jonas Sotala. So we've got an answer for Force Fields. We've got an answer for the Zealots with all the Banes. And we should have an answer for the Immortals as well, if we can just keep a couple Zerglings alive. Let the Queens help out. Taking the fight here on the edge of creep may be best case scenario for Jumy, but we are not quite working with +1 yet. I mean, Jumy needs a miracle, guys. This would be the biggest Protoss miracle that I've seen in a little while. We do move the War Prism. We try to drop a couple of Force Fields, but 1 Archon is already dead. The Baneling count is overwhelming. At least the Prism is going to sit pretty in the back for a split second. We tried to pick up the Archon, but we can't. There is just so much Zerg here. And it turns out that 41-1 doesn't mean a whole lot when Serral is our opponent, as Serral takes the 1-0 lead. Killing the Prism and killing all 4 DTs is obviously big.
Round 2, fight!
Bottom right side of Taito's Citadel, we're looking at the main base of our German Protoss. He was going to ask me if he could play against Serral. Instead, he had to earn it, but he did win the qualifier, representing Streamer Zone. Down 0-1, he needs to bonk his way back into the series. It is Jumy. In the top left side of Taito's Citadel, we are looking at the main base of the Finnish Phenom, representing Basilisk. It is Serral. And I told Serral that he would be playing Jumy. I was like, I guess we're okay with that. He's like, not too sure. Protoss is pretty scary. But I think Serral would always say that. I could feed him Molten and he'd be like, oh, those DTs are terrifying. What is so mean? Why? Because I said he has to bonk his way back into the series? He's all about the bonking. If there was a world where Serral would have skipped the spore Then obviously those 4 DTs can just click the hatchery. They'll get the hatchery before the Overseer is live. And yeah, Jumy looks like a genius and everybody's hyped. Jumy took a chance. He rolled the dice. It just did not work out. Back-to-back games. Jumy is going to go Nexus first, no Scout. It's definitely incredibly greedy. Nexus first fell out of fashion a little bit. The main reason why a lot of top tier pros are not that fond of Nexus first is that even if you get a very good economy, the Zerg can also get a very good economy. And if both races just sit back and pump out as many units or as many workers as humanly possible, like Zerg grows quicker than a Protoss. And if you go 1 gate fast expand, you get an early Adept out to force out a couple of links. You slow down the drone production. Then you get an Oracle out. You force out drone production because you force them to make spores. If you go Nexus first, obviously your Stargate is going to be later as well. So a lot of the pros are just not that fond of it. Once in a while, you do see some of the top tier Korean pros go Nexus first too. I personally like it just because my builds flow well with it, but not necessarily because I think it's a lot better than the 1 gate fast expand. Oh. We are going to have the usual Stargate here though in game 2. It is a similar opening to last game. So I'm sure that Jumy is going to hope that Serral might think it's something similar and it's not going to be the Stargate. Normally you always think about Stargate. But if your opponent goes Nexus first, double gate in game 1 and it's 8 DTs, you may not be 100% certain that it is going to be Stargate in game 2. Next Friday, obviously, Reynor will play his series, as tonight was supposed to be a Reynor night. And I'm gonna see if Gabe is interested. I kind of feel like Reynor, Gabe, it's been a little while since we've done that. And obviously Gabe was massive at the Home Story Cup. Gabe is not too excited to be playing PvTs, but he might be excited to play a little TVZ versus Reynor. So I feel like that would be a fun series. I haven't talked to Gabe about it yet though, but I'll just let you guys in on the thought process. Reynor will be playing tomorrow at noon European time, 6 AM on the East Coast against Cure in the quarterfinals of the Leo League Cup. I'm very curious to see how that one is going to go. Obviously, Reynor has some material to study too, as Serral played against Cure today. All 4 quarterfinals, Alex. Tomorrow we do all 4 quarterfinals, and on Sunday we're gonna do semifinal, semifinal, and then a best of 7 third place match and a best of 7 grand finals. That is the schedule for the weekend. And then on Monday we might have a Monday Night Cup. If there is one, we'll be here for that too. If there is not one, we'll definitely be chilling Monday going forward. Tomorrow it starts at noon, Bjarni. If you want to watch Reynor, you're going to have to be here at 6 AM East Coast time, sharp. Or over at maybe Statfest's channel, or Indie, or Coca, or Funka. Jumy is going to send it on the queens, gets 1 queen, but loses an oracle. That is not pretty. Not a trade you want to take, guys. Jumy obviously was somewhat close to getting a cancel on the hatchery, but in the end he did not get a cancel on the hatch. Liquipedia says best of 7 and extra. I personally hope that 3rd place match, especially because they moved the Monday matches to Sunday. Originally on Sunday it was only supposed to be the semifinals, and then on Monday it was supposed to be 3rd place match in the grand finals. Since they moved everything to the Sunday, I kind of hope they fix that. I like 3rd place matches. I have no problem with it, especially not an offline event, but I would prefer that to be a shorter format than the grand final. So best of 5 3rd place match sounds better to me than a best of 7. Jumy's got +1 air weapons on the way. That could be like a bit of a fake. Unless he is just already getting way ahead of himself and sees a world in which he stabilizes as a 4, if not a 5 base Protoss. And we're going to get Tempest and Carriers and a Mothership, but very early +1 air weapons. Oracles fly headfirst into the queen's. Serral's queen positioning is just always so freaking good. The goat was temporarily supply blocked, and he's going to make sure that he is not going to be supply blocked in the next minute with 8 overlords on the production tab. We've got overlord speed finishing up. We've got missile attacks on the way. Jumy could already be in serious trouble if Serral is going to go crazy on the aggression. Because Serral is obviously a 5-base Zerg, and he's droning up still a little bit. I'm going to get some tunneling claws as well. That's cool. Well, I hope you're right. Serral's going to drop a little bit of creep. Obviously, roaches perform a lot better. Here come all the overlords, so Serral can start spreading all the creep. Maybe the oracles can find a few drones here that are exposed. The problem is, though, guys, this is energy that Jumy, I think, desperately needs at home. Because Jumy is about to be attacked, not by a couple of roaches, but by a gazillion roaches. And the roach is going to start working on that cybernetics core that has been researching +1 missile attacks for a while. The good news for Jumy is that he's only on 3 bases. The bad news is that we have no storm. We are nowhere near storm. And we now have to worry about roaches in the natural, in the main base. Honestly, he should have morphed these High Templars into Archons immediately. Storm is just kind of late. This is not looking good for Jumy at all. He fires up a mothership. We do have maybe a revelation here. Okay, this fight is going to go sort of okay. We've got a cannon, we've got an immortal, we've got 2 batteries, but the batteries are already kind of drained. Counting down the seconds to storm. Good defense in the main. I guess we lost 1 immortal here. Yeah. Only losing a single immortal so far, guys, is not bad, but we are turtling as a 3-base Protoss with a crazy amount of static defenses. There is creep everywhere, there are roaches everywhere. And it's not like Serral is all in on 55 drones and a 3-base setup. The good news for Jumy is that he now has Storm, he's got a fleet beacon, he can start spending his money a little bit. I really wouldn't hate a second Stargate or a second robot, just anything that's going to make spending our money a little bit easier. We are looking for some big fat storms. That is a pretty good storm on the left, but on the right side we did not drop a storm. Jumy is just kind of down in firepower. We're going to warp in a couple of zealots with charge, but the roach count still here is quite high. Maybe we can use energy recharge on an oracle. Need another immortal badly. Need that Tempest to come out. Need the mothership. Serral's just everywhere. Jumy is doing his best. It's another good promising storm on the side of Jumy, but Jumy is going to need a few more where that came from. The problem is we have no more storms. Okay, it's kind of cute, by the way, that the mothership is out right now and it is activating cloaking. So these roaches have a hard time finding their targets, but Jumy just feels that he's under way too much pressure. And after 10 minutes in game 2, Serral takes the 2-0 lead. Serral was preparing for the late game there. With 5 bases, 80 plus workers, hive tech. That was not even his final form. But obviously the man is an absolute animal with roaches and tunneling claws. Jumy is in all sorts of trouble. I mean, we can get Gabe against Reynor next week. If Gabe is down for it, we can do Gabe against Reynor. And if Gabe does not want to play against Reynor, because Reynor will still be in Korea, and those will obviously be cross-server games, we can do Gabe next for Serral. We have done it before. And Gabe, most of the time, is always down to play some TVZ. He likes it.
Round 3. Fight.
I never do anything to YouTube. Zoom. If any of the games of my channel ever get posted to YouTube, that is done by some of the Basilisk staff members. They obviously have editor rights to my Twitch profile, so they can download it and they can post things, but I am not the one in charge of that. I never post anything. I never even really know what gets posted, but at this point it just feels like every single Premier game that Serral, Trigger or Reynor play pretty much gets posted. Bottom right side of Winter Madness, the man who earned his spot to play against Serral on the Friday night will always walk away with at least 50 bucks. But I think more important than the 50 bucks was put on a good show and try to make himself proud and try to impress the world. So far, it's not really going his way. Let's see if we can turn things around in Game 3 on Winter Madness. A German Protoss streamer zones for Jumy. Top left side, the Finnish Phenom. Busy day for him. Busy days, guys. Group stage this afternoon, BBB in the evening, and more Leo League Cup tomorrow, where Björn is waiting for him in the quarterfinals. He has taken a convincing 2-0 lead. He's looking good, looking sharp. one map away from getting some well-deserved rest. It is Serral. We will most certainly, we'll probably alternate things a little bit, guys. I feel like from here on out, what I will do when it comes to who gets to play against Serral is that 1 week I'll handpick someone, and then the following week we'll run a qualifier. And then I'll handpick someone, and then we'll run a qualifier. Or if someone truly has like an out of this world in the Picosaurus Cup, or the Water TV Weekly, or the Monday Night Weekly. Vincent beat Fabiano, then he's definitely playoffs, right? Let's go. Let's go, Vincent Gamer. That's sick. So impressive, by the way, after losing the first match. What I'm always impressed by these world-class competitors is that nothing seems to rattle them. I was the complete opposite when I was young in my Warcraft 3 days. I was not bad, but if something would go wrong, I'd just go on life tilt. I'd be like, everything's going wrong, I'm playing so bad, I can't do anything. Like Vincent starting 0-1 against like not even Magnus Carlsen or whatever, and still turning things around is very impressive. Let's go, Vincent. I'm actually excited to watch some chess as well this weekend if I can. If it doesn't overlap too much. I mean, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So I guess tomorrow, as soon as I am done casting, I'm actually going to spend some time with Vicky. We'll go, I don't know, to the mall or something. Watch a movie, eat some ramen. At least do something fun. But on Sunday, I'll try to watch some chess. There are still malls. We have a very big mall. The Mall of the Netherlands. It's Vicky's favorite mall. Jumy lets a single Adept Shade finish off, guys. That is not what he needs. I just said that I used to get a little rattled in my days, and perhaps Jumy right now is a little bit rattled too. Like, these are mistakes. No matter how great Serral is, this is not a mistake that Serral forces. This is just a complete unforced error, to put it in tennis terms. And that is not what Jumy is looking for when we are already down 0-2, maybe a tiny bit frustrated because we just can't really get things together against Serral. Bit of a painful start. It's only an Adept, but how many PvZs don't we see where the 2 Adept Shade in, they kill 4 drones, and we talk about how difficult the game is going to be for the Zerg from there on out. And for Jumy to just casually throw that first Adept away like this, that's bad. That's something an issue. Think it stepped on some Lego, mate? But yeah, I like the plan as well. We'll alternate. 1 week we'll run a qualifier, and the other week we'll just handpick someone. Obviously, if someone has truly done something extraordinary in any of the weekly cups, we can always just go for back-to-back weeks of handpicking an opponent. But I like the idea of giving people a chance to show what they are made out of versus the great Jonas Sotala. And you know, it may not be the first week or it may not be the second week that we get something very memorable, but there is going to be a moment where someone gets their chance to play against Serral, and they'll play a extraordinary series that we'll talk about for a long time. That was obviously Jumy's dream tonight. It is not starting to look like this is going to be Jumy's dream. If this was the Olympic Games, it feels a little bit more like Joop Venemars to me so far. But Joop tried again. And Jumy will also still try here in Game 3. Does kind of feel like he's just playing his game right now. This was clean. Like, we take some damage on the oracles, but we kill 4 drones. That's good. It ain't over yet. No, that's true. This game is outside of that Adept. It's perfectly fine. Just throwing away that first Adept when we did was a bit silly. Well, you're talking about Christiana, David. We've got very early double robo. So we've got an early Templar Archives, like mega early Templar Archives. This almost feels a tiny bit similar to how Hero played against Serral in the Thunderfire All-Star Invitational, no? I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but Hero moved out with a really big army, Immortals, Archons, and Serral was kind of caught in that awkward moment where he almost has Hive, and he has a couple of Lurkers, but they were not quite Hive Tech Lurkers yet. To me, it feels a little bit similar here, what Jumy is doing. An early Archon, Zealot Charge, double Robo. Prediction for Clem versus Maru tomorrow. I think Clem's Protoss is the favorite, but I mean, the Leo League Cup is truly the return of the Terrans in TVP. Beyond was insane yesterday against Hero. Cure was really good today against Classic. So definitely not a walk in the park for Clem, but yeah, I would lean a tiny bit towards Clem's Protoss. I've seen a lot of great games in the last 2 weeks when we did the Ronnie Cup and now we did the Leo League Cup, but I haven't really saved a lot of games as Game of the Year. I just feel like we've had a lot of like really good competitive high level games, but not one or two, well, not only Solar against Maru. I guess Solar Maru was truly a potential Game of the Year candidate as Jumy casually loses an Oracle. This is lose the Observer as well. Jumy. Our man Jumy, guys, is not really getting it done here. 8 minutes into Winter Madness. Serral is doubling the army supply and has a 14 worker lead. It's a 5-base Zerg. The good news for Jumy is that he has a Tempest on the way. The bad news is I feel like we're going to get one Tempest by the time we have a maxed out Serral. Not knocking on our door, but casually bulldozing his way in. Jumy wishes he could make it to midnight at this point. Or we could find a Yona at midnight. Not a single cannon or shield battery in the natural. These robos are potentially going to be a target as well, as Serral has snuck through the center of the map. He's here with links, with lots of Hydras. That adept gets picked off immediately. Serral is trying to maybe send a couple of the links in. In the end, Serral is just setting up a big old 1-2. Jumy does have 5 cannons here. Kind of like the 5 cannon defense, but it doesn't make these Hydras disappear. Jumy needs to find an answer against all these Hydras of Serral in the natural. Is there a world where we can jump on this? He's kind of trying to bait it into the cannon, into the battery. And kudos to Serral for really finding that one spot where Jumy absolutely did not want to fight. Did not have a single cannon or battery in the natural. Jumy probably never thought that Serral could make it there. Serral most certainly did make it up that ramp. Jumy was a bit out of position. Serral has money in the bank, has dropped the infestation pit, is firing up the hive. 10 minutes into game 3. This one looks bad. Archon dies. It is not the night of Jumy. Jumy has tried, but standing up against the great Jonas Sotala is a very tall order. It's not something that a lot of pros players on this planet can do. We gave it a shot, the good old college try, but both robos are dead. A couple of storms is all we will do. And that's going to be our final act of this Friday. The Hydras are kind of just dancing in the storm, washing themselves a little bit. It doesn't really matter. Serral can lose his army 3 times over and he's still going to be fine. Jumy does have a lot of zealots storming in from the natural, and he is temporarily going to push these Hydras back. But Jumy says not so quick. Unfortunately, he did lose his entire natural. And he lost a bunch of probes there. I mean, Jumy has 1500 minerals, guys. Imagine if we put all that, excuse me, the gas. We put all that gas into Archons and we just send it. Archons, Zealots, and Immortal. A couple of Tempests. Imagine if.
Imagine if.
Imagine if. We are going to try to get at least 2 Archons, but the 2 Archons is not going to cut it against the never-ending string of Hydras that Serral is sending Jumy's way. Archon dies. Once upon a time we had cannons and batteries for days, now we are down to a single shield battery. Jumy wanted Serral. Jumy had to work for it, but he made his way through the qualifier, and in the end he got Serral. But I guess it is true what they say. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. Yona a little too powerful as he bonks his way through this best of 5 and gets a 3-0 on the board. And Jumy will know that winning all those games against all those other Zergies out there is great, is fantastic, is a proper confidence booster.